good. Okay, live stream is on. Okay, we all ready? Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the October 27th, 2025 meeting of the Preston County Board of Education. It is now 5:31, and I declare this meeting called to order. At approximately the 6 o'clock hour, we will have a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Our first matter of business is a personnel hearing. For the personnel hearing, do you desire the meeting to be an open or closed session? If it's open session, live stream is on. We open up the doors for the public. If it's closed session, we'll have a motion from a board member to go into executive session. At that point, it's a closed meeting. No one else can join it, and we turn off the live stream. It's your choice.
Close this one.
Close, okay. Can I please get a motion to go into executive session?
No. Make it.
Okay, Mr. Zigray?
Second. Whichever.
Okay, Mr. Zigray, you made the motion.
Right, second.
Mr. Hovatter is the second.
Voice vote on that, Mr. Tate.
Okay. Is there any discussion regarding the motion for executive session to conduct a personnel hearing? And this is under West Virginia Code 6-9A-4B2A. Okay, this will be a voice vote starting with Mr. Hovatter.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 at 5:32.
Okay. Okay, we are now in executive doors open.
You're on.
Okay, hold on.
They have a shot.
Yes, they're out.
Okay, so live feed is back on. Okay, may I get a motion to return to open session?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mr. Hovatter.
Second.
Second by Mr. Zigray. Is there any discussion regarding the motion to return to open session? Not hearing any. This will be a voice vote starting with Mrs. Noss.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 at 6:27.
Okay, we have a personnel hearing before us. This is a discussion, information, and action item. It is recommended to the board to ratify the unpaid suspension from October 13th, 2025 through October 27th, 2025, and to approve termination of employee on October 27th, 2025 of employee number 970004058 from his or her position as a special education aide at West Preston School. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Noss. Okay, second by Mr. Hovatter. Okay, is there any discussion regarding the motion at hand? Okay, I will point out that while we have a quorum of the board, we only have 4 members. We do not have all 5. So to overcome the status quo, it would take 3 yeses to overcome status quo. If it's a tied vote, status quo would be in effect, and that'd be the employee's current stated before this action. Okay, so it would take 3 yeses to overcome the status quo. Is there any additional questions or discussion? Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for the personnel hearing motion. Okay, this will be a computer vote.
Yes. Voting is open.
This will be a computer vote, but all votes are taken in public. So on the screen, it'll say how each individual board member votes. Okay?
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. It was a difficult decision. Okay. We will now proceed with our normal meeting. Yes.
Those aren't that uncomfortable.
I move that we recess for 5 minutes to allow everyone to get in. So move to recess.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to recess made by myself and seconded by Mr. Hobatter. Is there any discussion? Okay, this will be a voice vote starting with Mr. Hobatter.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 at 6:39. 5 minutes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the October 27th, 2025 meeting of the Preston County Board of Education held at Aurora School. This meeting was called to order at approximately 5:31 for an employee personnel hearing. Okay, at this time, we will have a moment of silence led by Mr. Zigray, and then, a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mr. Zigray.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Mr. Martin, our first item is recognitions.
Okay. Make sure my mic's on. Okay, Mr. Tatum, we are here tonight to recognize some students at the Aurora School. We have members of the school cross-country team. Specifically, I know the girls' cross-country team was recently won the Preston County Middle School Championships. I know that the boys' team had a number of strong performances at the county meet. I will actually turn it over to Ms. White and Coach Durst if you'd like to speak to some of the accomplishments of the team this year. You may need to turn the mic on this week.
Do you want to say anything? So I'd like to call the kids out. First we have Madeline Livingood, who is an 8th grader this year.
Do you want me to come up here?
Olivia Simmons. Cora Miller. Ella Schaefer. And Evie Durst. She is also an 8th grader. And then for our boys team, we have with us tonight Ashton Schaefer. Tripp Rimmer. Rylan Kowalski. Is there anybody else hiding over there? Did I get them all?
And Coach Durst.
And our coach Durst is right up there hiding in the corner. I'm very proud of these kids. They work so hard, and I think sometimes we don't get acknowledged on nearly as much as we should. They ran a run for it in Davis this year and raised $2,731 for the program. So they do an incredible job, and we really appreciate them.
Before we move on, I just want to quickly say, appreciate all the hard work. I was a former cross-country coach, and I certainly have a great deal of respect for what you guys do in terms of training throughout the course of the year.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations. You're great season.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Skip your standing. All right. That's fine.
Right over?
I think we're good. I think you got it.
Okay, so now we're at the delegations portion of our agenda. I just want to clarify for Brittany Carpenter,
That's me.
you're presenting later on, is that right?
I'm for the dance team. Yeah.
She's on the
Okay, is this what you signed up here for the dance team, or is that something in
Yes,
addition?
that's for the dance team.
Okay, so can we just wait until a little bit for that? Okay, so we'll come back. Next, we have Jackie Blamble. Jackie, I'll just kind of go over if you will. So you have 5 minutes to address the board. So we can keep it an open session. Please don't mention employee names or student names. If for some reason we need to go to executive session, I'll probably stop you and we'll do it at that point.
I've got, it's gonna be quick.
Okay.
I just want to clarify, from the last meeting I spoke at, Mr. Martin, you had said, well, when I spoke, I was speaking to get something, a little more pay because of doing the 2 schools. And, you know, Mr. Martin, you had came up and said, I test the water. And I do test the water for Aurora School. I'm the only one in the county because we have well water. No one else in the county does. But that's so much different than what I was asking for the allotment. You know, water testing is water testing. Cooking for 2 schools is something else. So I just want to clarify that, you know, I do get that side money for water testing and not for cooking for the 2 schools that I was asking for.
So Mrs. Blamble, when you get down to is maybe looking at some type, you're proposing more so a statement that's specific to your
Right.
duties
I mean,
in the
you
kitchen,
know,
correct?
Right.
Okay.
You know, and I know you all know this, you know, I know there's only 25 students at Roseburg, but to add it on, it is a lot of work to cup up, send out, you know, and it is 2 schools. It's not like I'm just doing the one prepping for here. It is the 2. So that's why I just wanted to clarify, when I spoke the last time, I do get an extra stipend for the water testing, but that has nothing to do what I'm asking for the extra money for doing the 2 schools. I just wanted to clarify.
Who
Thank you.
delivers to Rollsburg?
We have a lady that works here from 5:30 to 11:15. She goes down, takes the food, and then she, you know, serves it, cleans up down there.
And how many students are up here?
174, somewhere like that, give or take, yeah. So,
Any other questions from board members?
thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Blamble.
Next, I have Aaron Miller.
I think he signed it on the wrong spot.
Okay. Okay. Shad Green?
Can you speak now?
Yes,
Oh.
you're next.
No.
Okay, so again, 5 minutes,
5
please
minutes.
don't mention, so we can keep it in public session, no employee names or student names.
So I was at the past meeting at the Board of Education due to the fact of the limit of the lack of school nurse, trying to solve that situation. As like I said in my speech, as a volunteer side of it, being a volunteer fire and deputy chief of Aurora, the EMS side, like I had mentioned before, is limited of how they're responding because of due to lack of EMTs and medics in the county. And it's not just Preston County, it's also Garrett County. So the fact of having kids in any of the schools that are in need, that calling 911, like I had stated before, there's gonna be a time, and that goes for everybody in the living quarters, there's gonna be a time that you're not gonna get a fire truck or an ambulance out of your first district. It's coming. So I'm just trying to help solve the problem, trying to get a nurse situated in the school due to the fact of staff or these kids to try to prevent, if that case, when you have to get a fire or EMS up here and it's coming from Garrett County or on the other side of camp that's gonna be a long travel time, and we got winter time coming up. And then the roads, with the state highway administration, with the lack of drivers, that's gonna be a slow response for a fire truck or EMS. So, I know that you guys been working on, there's some people that's reached out to me, we and him had a little chat right here in the chair. So please stay on that, because I don't wanna have to get up for a day or something and have to come up here to this school, and not saying that we would, but it's just that fact of the matter. If we can try to handle it as we can to prevent more damage, let's try to do that. Because like I said, response time, it's not here no more. We're lucky to get out the truck door now with 1 or 2 guys in our department. That's just not here, it's everywhere. So that's what I'm saying, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
Yep.
Mr. Marston?
Yeah, Mr. Green, I concur. I know the county commission today had an emergency session related to, I think, compensation for EMTs, but just the general shortage, I know is a major concern for the county. I would want to update the board. Mr. Varner, you can interject at any point. I don't know if it was the previous meeting, we have hired a substitute nurse living in the Terralta area, who's expressed willingness to work 2 to 3 days a week. At this point, she has submitted all applicable paperwork to the Department of Ed. We are just literally waiting on her certification to come back in, but she has been hired pending certification. So once we're able to get her in place, we'll obviously try to schedule for what days of the week she'd be able to work here. And Mrs. Varner, I think one of the ladies who had reached out is in attendance here tonight. I know there have been 2 additional people who have expressed the interest, possibly working here at the Aurora School as well. Is that correct? So obviously we'll look to try to supplement. If the one individual cannot work, obviously 5 days a week, we would certainly be interested in if we can get someone certified for anyone in there to provide service and make sure that they're properly trained to provide the care for the students that are here that require, that have medical necessity. Anything else, Mr. Varner?
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Okay, that completes the delegation portion of our meeting. We now have presentations. So the first one is for the proposal for the Preston High School Dance Club. Brittany Carpenter and Sarah Gallagher.
Gallagher, she's not here.
Okay.
Okay.
You can please join us up here.
Okay, I know you guys received the letter that Sarah had emailed, and it's attached. But hello, and thank you for allowing me time to address the board today. I'm Brittany Carpenter. I'm here to seek approval for a dance team at PHS. This will be a club sport open to all 9th through 12th grade students to try out. Myself and Sarah Gallagher have been trying to get this off the ground for a while. We visited PHS last spring during the advisory period and met with interested students. I had prepared like a QR code kind of interest sign-up form, and at the time we had 13 athletes interested. I believe the number will be much larger now if we get promoted around the school. I myself have a lifetime of dance experiences in all genres of dance. I've danced since the time I was 2 years old. I currently coach Squires cheerleading with Sarah. We co-coach that team. I've coached Central Preston cheer and Central Preston baseball. Sarah and I both hold current West Virginia SSAC coaches cards. Next year to expand on our programs to include football games, parades, and possibly competitions in the area. We're committed to providing an atmosphere of hard work, fun, positivity, and learning, developing teamwork, discipline, creativity, and leadership. We have lots of great ideas, how to bring entertainment and enthusiasm to all the events at Preston High. Many middle schools and high schools around the state have dance teams already, and I myself think it brings like a good energy to games. So vote yes for PHS dance team and enjoy the show.
Let's hold tight for a quick second. Mr. Martin, please update the board on what the role of the board would be in this matter for this proposal.
When Ms. Gallagher and Ms. Carpenter reached out, I asked for some guidance from Bruce Huggins, who was a longtime athletic director at Preston High School. I kind of explained what the premise of their idea was, and we came to the conclusion that because this is not currently a WVSSAC sanctioned sport, so there's not enough schools that currently have teams in order for it to be a sanctioned sport. So we are approaching this request similar to, for example, that we have a school affiliated lacrosse team, for example, that's more of a club concept. Mr. Dryden, now one thing I would say, and I would advise the group pending the board's approval, a few things that were mentioned is the fact that I would say that school administration, Mr. Seymour, I've conferred with Mr. Seymour and Athletic Director Bishop, both are fine with the proposal. One thing that that would need to be indicated is, much like I would say Grasshopper or Youth League groups, is the specific school teams would get priority to facilities, for example. So, for example, the club would need to communicate with school administration, the athletic director, in terms of arranging for space. They would need to fill out like a facilities form. That's what Mr. Dreisbach does with lacrosse. So we would, what I would propose is to operate this similar to how the lacrosse program is functioning with PHS. I'm excited at the prospects. I think, again, this is another alternative for male and female students at Preston High School who would have interest in dance. I think they have a great plan in terms of how to phase it in slowly this year with, possibly the ability to expand for further programming in the coming year. So, and I'm glad that we have 2 certified individuals who are already WVSSAC certified. And I appreciate the fact that they're trying to operate the program very much in a similar line as a typical school-based program. So I would certainly concur and would be in favor of the motion to approve the club.
Okay, so this item is listed as an action item for the board. Let's get a motion and a second, and then we can proceed with board member discussion. It is recommended that the board approve the formation of a Preston High Dance Club at no cost to the board, along with club sponsors Mrs. Brittany Carpenter and Sarah Gallagher for the 2025-26 academic year. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mrs. Noss. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hovatter. Okay, is there discussion or questions from board members?
Yeah, I got a question. When do you plan on performing? You were saying at basketball games?
Yeah, at basketball games, we kind of need to work with Miss Silcott and kind of her girls. They either do a hello or a halftime, but usually not both. At football games, they do not do a hello cheer, so we would alternate with them, whichever they are going to do to make room. We would also do some like sideline type things, but it wouldn't be a constant thing, and we would only be at home games.
One thing I would suggest too is, and I would have to check, I don't know that the cheer program always necessarily cheers, for example, at the girls' basketball games.
Correct.
That might provide another potential venue for performance,
And
possible
JV, I don't
performance.
think they perform.
Sure, I mean, I think,
Yeah.
always far, there's other sports, wrestling, there's all kinds of,
Sure.
that would be a different venue, but,
Correct.
we could certainly be creative when there would be potential opportunities for the kids to participate.
And that's one of our things is we put basketball games and we put tons of other events because we could do parades and we could report at soccer games. I mean, the track provides endless opportunities for the kids. And, this also allows kids that are in other sports to still participate in dance team. So, if they're a soccer athlete and they can't participate during soccer season, then they can participate during winter season. So it allows an opportunity for kind of everyone to try out and be involved in the same thing. It's a year-long thing.
Ms. Carpenter, one thing I would ask too is, one thing that we require our athletic teams is to offer some type of, not a set, like team rules, to try to set up an organizational meeting with interested parents and so forth. Would that be your all's intent as well?
Yes, we did an interest survey and meeting during advisory and back in the spring at the school. So we have all the students' contact information that was there, but then we would also have a parent meeting, and we, just like in Squires Cheer, we have a code of conduct and a set of rules that parents are required to sign.
So like basketball game, cheerleaders have really limited time at halftime.
They do, correct.
And so you'd be saying you're going into other areas like girls' basketball or football or stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, football wouldn't be till a next year thing,
Right.
and it would be like a pregame thing for football because they don't utilize the pregame time.
Yeah. Cost of the uniforms.
We would fundraise for it, so I would ask for an account, a line item for us to start fundraising to put money into. The uniforms that we're looking at now are simple bodysuits with black pants that we can all change out to skirts if we wanted to, and they're looking at like $68, $69 a person.
And I would say financially, I would ask Mrs. Carstairs can reach out to you, just to kind of clarify what would need to happen in regards if you were to be potentially approved for a club option.
Mm-hmm.
Additional questions from board members?
Does that follow along the guidelines of like the
support organization? pay
Yeah,
for their
I
time?
believe so, Mr. Hobart. I just would like to confer with Mrs. Kerstetter just to be sure that, that's as I would envision it, but we'll make sure that we provide proper guidance that pending board approval.
Practice time, where would you,
Well, I mean, gym time I know is a crunch. It just is. I mean, we could utilize the concourse. I mean, it's dance team, so concourse space would be fine. Theater space would be fine.
Is there a reason why you don't wanna be an SSAC team?
They can't be. It's not an option right now.
It's not an option for a dance team.
And Ms. Noss, I believe like dance is somewhat, you correct me if I'm wrong, Brittany, like it's somewhat kind of intertwined with
It's called,
cheer.
SSAC refers to cheerleading and dance as spirit. You can have two separate entities, but most people don't have a separate spirit team that would compete. That's why we're looking for the club sport.
So they're designated under SSAC as the same thing, so SSAC says that if you're on, since Preston High has a cheer team, then you couldn't be on a club dance at the same time that you're cheering, otherwise that team's in violation of SSAC rules.
If they're an SSAC athlete.
If the,
And
that's what I'm
cheer.
saying, if the girls are on cheer,
No, I don't believe so, Ms. Noss. I'll use this as an example, like lacrosse. I'm pretty certain, like, for example, when lacrosse is performing in the spring, they may have a kid who's running track, for example, and
but
could
she
be
said
playing
they're
lacrosse
designated
concurrently.
as the same thing. She said cheer and dance is
It's-
as a spirit
it's
team.
just-
But
listed as
again, if
spirit.
if they're a club, and they're not an SSAC sanction, I don't believe there would be any conflict there. That would be like the equivalent, say, for example, like, student is playing AAU basketball at the same time that they're playing high school baseball, for example. That wouldn't be in violation.
I only said it because she said that cheer and dance was put under the spirit.
The rules are the same.
catalog.
They're listed as spirit.
So if that would be the case in soccer, a player cannot be on the high school soccer team and be on our county recreational soccer teams. That's a violation.
What
of
I
the
would
rules.
say is I'll reach out to the compliance officer of the WSSAC just to, kind of explain what our thought process is, just to make sure that we don't have any potential rules violations as pertains to the SSAC and associated with this. But that's a very good question, Mrs. Noss.
I just don't wanna see anybody put their other team in a violation.
Yeah, and at
Not
this point, Brittany, I
intentional.
know the SSAC has a specific compliance officer that's always very, very, very quick to answer questions and so forth, so we can, Mrs. Bishop and I can certainly reach out.
So, and then for your practices, you don't really have a plan yet, it's just wherever you can find space, cause I think it's gonna be, unlike lacrosse, it's gonna be hard because you're in a building and you
Right.
need to be inside. And we have all these sports that now have 32 flex days
Correct.
where they can put.
That's why my
off-season.
suggestion would be concourse, media center, theater.
Roseburg Opportunity Center, Jim.
Well, then how do you get them there? How do they get home?
It's club, it's club
It's
at
club,
that
and
point, so.
parents are required to transport them. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any final questions? Okay, this motion was made and seconded. It is an action item. I'll call the vote for approval of the Preston High School Dance Club. And also a reminder, this, since we have 4 members, it takes 3 yeses to provide the approval.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, next, we have the Aurora School LSIC and curriculum team presentation.
First, I'm gonna have Ava Waters, our student council president, come up so that she can get on.
for all you guys who don't know me, I'm Ava Waters, the president of Student Council. Our Student Council consists of 5 middle school students. We all are so excited for the school year and are open to any new opportunity we can take. So for this school year, unlike past, we want to very much so focus on donations to other places. Something big that we want to do is a Christmas shoebox, and we're going to do that through churches, so we want to pay delivery fees. We're going to fill the shoe boxes and bring them back. And then another thing we want to do is we want to help out the Kingwood Animal Shelter. In order to do that, we are going to have money, so we're going to do different fundraisers. At our home basketball games, we only have a girls team right now, so we're going to do 50-50 tickets during halftime, and then we're going to have some of our student council members work concession stand, and we're not going to get full profit for that because the other profit goes towards the sports. Another thing, during public events, we're going to have a student council bucket. We were going to be doing that for the fall festival, which was not too long ago, but we did not do it for that. An example would be do it for the spring fling. So something for our school is we're going to do one middle school dance at the end of the year. We're going to put some of the money towards a school mascot. And then we're going to include ourselves in more different activities. Something like that is we have a Veterans Day program coming up soon. We'll be doing a speech, a flag folding, and we're going to be helping serve breakfast for the veterans. Another thing is we haven't really talked much about it yet with our theater teacher, but we want to involve student council more in theater. An example is with our mascot, we'll have something like auditions for that, so just kind of be involved in that theater program. And then I've talked to the band director, and we're going to try and supply areas like a church to where we can do fundraisers for the band, so we can get some of our instruments fixed. And then the last thing I really wanted to talk about was Preston County meals. So it's been noticed and brought to my attention, school lunches have gotten rid of liked foods at the Aurora School. Students and teachers have both shared their disliking for some of the different food choices. A few examples of what I believe could be changed that the Aurora School would love is instead of doing the turkey sandwiches, something that a lot of people have asked is for me to ask to have the buffalo chicken dip bring back, and I kind of just like put that in a meal for an example. We could do buffalo chicken dip, corn, tortilla chips, and milk. And then another example that I came with, instead of doing Uncrustables, I had a lot of requests to bring back lasagna. So we could do lasagna, grapes, green beans, and milk. And another thing that I've had a lot of students and teachers bring up to me is there's a lot of like processed food and packaged food. And we want to try and not have as much of that, but have more of, like I said, more like actual cooked food like the buffalo chicken dip or that lasagna. But that's all I had for my presentation, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Waters.
Thank you.
So next I just want to talk about our LSIC goals for the year. One of our goals is getting a full-time nurse hired, ensuring that the retaining wall that is still out back gets torn down or repaired. We would like to work on our playground. Currently it is not handicapped accessible. There are not a lot of options for kids who do not communicate well with others that we would like to add in, and then try to put in a rubberized surface because constantly buying wood chips is kind of expensive and hard to get delivered, quite frankly. We'd also like to finish the door repair and painting that was started this summer, and then modernize the front hallway, put in a new display case so it's not quite so antiquated, still acknowledge our roots, but also acknowledge student work. Our school data from our math results. You'll notice that our 3rd grade class last year was 74% proficient, thanks to Mrs. Stein. She worked very hard on that, so that was an outstanding number, I feel like. And then our 5th grade class was 67% proficient in mathematics. So certainly numbers to be championed. You also notice, if I can go back there, that our 8th grade class last year actually grew every year. And I don't know if you've watched saw a lot of data, but usually when kids hit middle school, their scores and percentages go down. And ours are actually trending up. Our ELA results are not as fantastic as what our math results were. We are continuing to work on it this year. We're putting a lot of work into ELA. We do have a certified ELA teacher. Woo! So that will help dramatically. In 2025, our end of the year iReady growth was 6th grade levels reached 100% growth. In math, 4th grade levels reached 100% growth. In 2025, our GSA ELA proficiency was up to 38%, which was the year before 36.17. So not huge growth, but we are finally trending up. And then for our math, our proficiency was up to 45%, which is a significant jump from 33.83%. So very proud of this. Our attendance rate is a little down this year. We are usually in green. We did get some new students into the building. Attendance, I don't think, was focused on necessarily at their former school, so it has definitely been a struggle to make a new additional students see the importance of attendance. But we are working on it. Luckily, we have a great attendance team. We make phone calls, we reach out. Our teachers reach out when students aren't here, and we try to make connections. Our strategic plan. So we're working again on cooperative learning strategies again this way. Any way we can engage the students' brains so that every kid is thinking all the time. After school tutoring hasn't started yet, but hopefully we get that started soon. We have MTSS in place at the last period of the day for our students who are struggling or who did not reach that cut score for the 3rd grade success act. Middle school math and ELA enrichment are offered for our middle school students who are academically behind. We try to use data dives where we look at our data to establish goals for our students in iReady. We have lots of family engagement activities. Our students in K-3 get a take-home book. We do weekly interventions with the social worker for those students, like I said, who are chronically absent. And then engaging in meaningful learning experiences here at Aurora. Like that is what we kind of take our pride in. We have an excellent theater program. Our STEAM program is great. Mrs. Klein will talk here in a few minutes about Greenhouse. We started a computer science program this year, which I hope the kids are loving. I think they are. And then Mrs. Warnick is starting a creative writing class, which has been lovely. And then this year we're starting Wow Word Wednesday. So we noticed that there was kind of a lack in our kids' vocabulary understanding. So we are trying to focus on prefixes and suffixes and root words so that they can understand any word that they come across. And then Mrs. Mayfield is going to talk about her summer reading program.
I know you get tired of hearing me talk about this, but I'm still doing it. Oh, I'm sure.
Thank you.
All right, well, the summer reading program this year, it averaged about 50 kids each week. The title was Read for Success, and it was once a week for 6 weeks. And our goal was to kind of promote that children that read consistently during the summer retain or improve their reading levels. Aurora community does not have a library, so the main goal was to open it up where they would have a place to come get books. This year, I asked for some funding, because I'm pretty good at squeezing money out of other places, but I didn't get any kind of funding for it. I don't need a salary. I will do it, whether I get paid or not, that's not the thing. But it's nice to bring quality presenters in, and if I had to pay a presenter, the PTO would have to either step up and do it, or I'd have to find money from somewhere else. I asked, if there was any funding, and I was told they would look to see if there was any grant money, and it never came back to me. And also this year, they would not hire a cook for it. I got those bag meals, which a lot of the kids that come to the summer reading program are pre-K and preschool, so it's like their first experience coming to school, and it's a big deal. And then you hand them that bag. I had so many parents, is this what you feed the kids at school? And I'm like, no. It'll be on brain freeze days. So it'd be really nice if we could even just get a cook hired. It'd just be 6 days, it's 6 weeks. And, even if it's just pizza or hot dogs or something. And then the summer reading challenge, which is where we challenge all the students from pre-K to 8th grade to read or be read to for 20 minutes or more a day. And then if they complete the challenge, then we do a summer reading reward trip every year. This year, 65 kids completed the challenge. They brought in the paperwork, they kept the paperwork, they have to keep a weekly log of how much they read. And the trip is always sponsored by the Hope, Love, and Charity Foundation that is tied in with the smallest church in 48 states or whatever. They asked, they give me money for that trip, and they asked that I expand the horizons of Aurora students. So when I do a field trip, it's not like I can take them, to Morgantown. This year we're going to go to the National Aquarium. Last year we went to the National Zoo to see the pandas, and just to watch their faces is just overwhelming. To see a big city is overwhelming, but to see those pandas makes it all worthwhile. So is there any questions about my summer reading program that has been going on since the beginning of time?
No, Mrs. Smith, I just want to say thank you for your continued dedication to the program. I know when I first came as principal up here, that was really my first involvement with anything here at Aurora School, and just appreciate your efforts on that front.
Thank you.
Mr. Martin, and I'm sure you made note of it, can we look at getting the cook hired? You said it was for 6 days, is this 1 day a week for 6
Yes.
weeks, so 6
Yes.
days?
Yeah, I know that Mr. Hogue has actually tried to look at some proposals in terms of how we may be able to maybe consolidate some preparation sites to be able to hire some actual cooks this summer. We could look at Aurora in terms of just because of the limited number of days. I mean, I need to obviously speak with Justin, but I know at this year, Mrs. Mayfield, we didn't hire cooks in any of our summer locations.
I
think that's
understand that.
right.
But I mean, I agree with your comment that's for what it is, a marketing term, a retention term, that a hot meal goes, or at least a prepared meal goes a long ways for our first impression for new
Absolutely.
students.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Other comments, questions, board members?
No.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield.
I also wanted to acknowledge our Aurora PTO. They do so much work for our school. If you saw the float in the Buckwheat Festival, that is the PTO. They take teacher requests if teachers need an item that they can't afford. They do the Shamrock Shake. They help you pay for the Veterans Day breakfast. They do Fall Festival, which was a huge success. We had so many people here. They were parking down at Deerwood. It was hard to get through the hallways. They do Spring Festival. This year they're doing a Staff Appreciation Day every month where they bring in like a special treat that is really fun to look forward to. Tomorrow actually is coffee and muffins. They sponsor our Youth and Government students. They do a free Santa's workshop where every kid gets to pick 2 gifts for their parents. They provide our snacks for the movie trips. They're incredible, so I'd like to acknowledge them. They also provided our food tonight, courtesy of Mrs. Blamble. So I really appreciate them. And then Mrs. Klein's going to talk about the greenhouse.
So, greenhouse, as you know, last year our greenhouse actually collapsed with the snow. We get a lot of it up here. We had applied for a grant last year and got word that we were approved for the grant to purchase a high tunnel or greenhouse a little bit sturdier and more structured for the weather up here. Unfortunately, we haven't heard back from it. We heard at the beginning of the year that we got approved for it, but then we haven't heard anything since, so we're kind of waiting in limbo, but I think there's a lot of people waiting in limbo for grants these days. So hopefully that happens sooner than later. I did also find out that over Buckwheat Week, I was officially approved to have an FFA chapter here at Aurora School. It's a little hard to get that started, when you're a fourth of the way into the school. But we're looking at doing, working out the kinks with some of my students that are in greenhouse now, and working out the kinks on how it's going to get started. And then next year we can hit the ground running and have our middle school FFA chapter. We are also approved to do the Plant the Moon Challenge again this year. We did it for the first time last year, where they send a simulated version of lunar soil, and the students have to come up with an experiment to see how lunar soil affects growth in plants, or how they can use lunar soil to grow plants in space, so that if anyone ever were to colonize the moon, they could know. And it's actually a national competition. So they collect their data, they do all this research, take pictures, and they submit their final experiment to a competition. We didn't win last year, but it was our first year, and a lot of our plants did end up dying quite frequently. We had to reseed many times, but hopefully we learned a little bit from last year, and we can use that knowledge this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next thing I want to talk about is our One Book, One School program. It is highly engaging. We have done it for, I believe, 3 years now. Students were able to answer trivia questions at school. They complete STEAM activities during the school day. And we also this year last year, we started parent challenges and family challenges. So the kids, one of the challenges was kids had to make a robot at home, which some of them were fantastic. And then we also gave them seed packets, and they went home and planted and grew their own seeds. Because the little robot in the book plants a little garden. And we want it to get bigger and better each year, but it is very engaging for families, I think, with the school. Next, we have Trout in the Classroom. It'll be our 4th year of Trout in the Classroom, and we'll do another trout release in the spring. We will not have as many this year, because for some reason I have killed all but 5. I don't
But that
know
river
why.
level comes up a little bit.
I know. Maybe they're like, I don't want to go in trout water. But we just release them down below school. We have a lovely little stream down there, so our kids enjoy going down there and catching crawdads. And then we started a running club last year, which was super successful. This year, we had 36 runners in kindergarten through 8th grade. We received a grant of $300 from Active Southern West Virginia, and Mrs. Thurston and I co-coached that. We did a collar run in the spring, and then we did a pumpkin run in the fall this year, and we did a pumpkin run last fall as well. And it's part of our initiative. One of our goals for our strategic plan is just health and well-being of students. So this is just one of those ways we're trying to help out. And then we started weekly positive office referrals this year. Teachers can make recommendation to the office for students to be recognized for behaviors that represent our values, which I forgot to put them in there. But like citizenship, leadership, and we look for things specifically to go along with those values. And then students come to the office and they are recognized. They get to pick a prize, prize from the prize box, and then we recognize them on our Facebook page. And that was our lovely staff from last year, where we had an inflatable race. And that is the conclusion. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, comments from board members?
There are motors with that, with us?
Is there motors?
Yeah, like keep running in the air?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Not for the teachers. Yes.
Mr. Tatum, I just wanted to thank all of the Aurora school staff and just in attendance tonight. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Selton, which, Joanna, you still doing a lot of work with the Aurora Historical Society, the Lincoln Central School?
I certainly am in the Lions Club.
Certainly appreciate your efforts. I know Krista Hayes is back here as well. Mrs. Hayes works with our county learners programs. I have a very active chapter here at Aurora, and also does a lot of work with the community float as well. So we appreciate some of the community support, and all of our staff who are here this evening. Mrs. White, thank you guys for hosting the board and I this evening. Appreciate your hospitality as always.
Yes, thank you all. Our next item is to approve the meeting agenda. This is an action item. It's recommended that the board approve the meeting agenda. May I get that motion? Okay, moved by Mr. Hovatter, second by Mrs. Noss. Is there any discussion or requested changes to the order of the agenda? Not hearing any, I call the vote.
Voting is open. Cleared the room there. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the meeting minutes. It's recommended that the board approve the minutes from the October 13th, 2025 board meeting. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Noss, seconded by Mr. Zigray. Is there any discussion or corrections to the meeting minutes? Not hearing any, the motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for the meeting minutes.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Now we have the service personnel agenda. This is an action item. It's recommended that the board approve the service personnel agenda. May I get that motion?
Make that motion.
Mr. Zigray motioned it.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hovatter. Mr. Martin, Mrs. Varner, is there any information that you'd like to provide?
I would want to update the board. We have had two applicants for the, what I guess I would call the second run bus position that was discussed. And both are from the Brewston area, which was the area that brought forth the concern. So I'll kind of update the board further as we get to that agenda item, and I didn't want to call that to your attention. And Mrs. Varner, anything else?
And the two requests for new positions, one we've kind of been, we had it as a vacancy, trying to make sure that the student was going to remain. The student is going to remain at the school, so we are now asking it for a full-time position. And then the other one at Kingwood Elementary is we're bringing a student from another school down to Kingwood to better service him at that school. And then we have a student there who has a lot of medical needs that is at that school, but we're just needing additional hands to help service that child. So we're going to need an additional aide at that school.
Okay. Okay, is there any questions or discussion from board members? Not hearing any? Okay. The motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for the service personnel agenda.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Now we have the professional personnel agenda. This is an action item. It's recommended that the board approve the professional personnel agenda. May I get that motion?
Make that motion.
Moved by Mr. Zigray,
Second.
second by Mr. Hovatter. Mr. Martin or Mrs. Varner, is there any information you'd like to provide?
I don't have anything at this time, Mrs. Varner.
No, there's just a retirement on here, and then a few new coaches. But
We are sad to see Kingwood Elementary's second grade team is going to be decimated in this summer
Decimated.
for sure.
Do we have any hopefuls for those positions or not?
I'm looking, Mrs. Owens is gonna get back to me, and I believe we're gonna have CTRs for those.
Two more coming through.
Okay, any other or any additional questions or discussion regarding professional personnel? Okay, not hearing any, the motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for the professional personnel.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Now we have the off-site practice facility request. This is an information discussion and action item. It's recommended that the board approve the request for the Brewston School basketball teams to be permitted to practice at two alternative locations: Chestnut Ridge Church at 2223 Cheat Road, Morgantown, West Virginia 26508, and a private gym at the residence of Tyler Watchering at 17455 Brandonville Pike, Brewston Mills, West Virginia 26525, when school facilities are not available or as deemed needed by coaching staff for the 2025-26 season. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hovatter,
Second.
second by Mr. Zigray. Okay, is there any discussion or information?
Mr. Tatum, I would say one of these locations was approved by the board last year, the location on Brandonville Pike. Basically, in speaking with Coach Lindley, the requests are made, for example, if there's conflict with the girls program, if, for example, they have, let's say, holiday programming, for example, with the band, the gym's tied up, they're just looking for alternatives to practice in instances of that nature. Generally speaking, they will be practicing at school pretty consistently. These are just options when there's just lack of gym availability.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or discussion from board members? Not hearing any, the motion. I'm sorry.
Mr. Martin, just to be clear and make sure I understand that when we let them practice these off-sites, they're covered under the school.
That's why we
correct?
placed them on the agenda.
Okay.
This is similar, we've had some cross-country requests, for example. I can remember years ago even having a request from the board for, because if we were on private property at any point, just to be sure that it's something that's been board approved so that that should be covered by our board of risk.
Okay, yeah, with the private property one, that's,
Yes.
was the main reason for my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, not hearing anything else, I call the vote.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Now we'll get an update on the issue of canceled bus runs. This is for information and discussion.
Mr. Tatum, I just wanted to update the board, obviously based on the concerns brought forth by the Brewston School Faculty Senate last year related to multiple cancellations of bus runs in the Brewston area. We had initially, we were given initial guidance from our legal counsel that required it was a 3/5 vote of the, all of the drivers. When I made a re-inquiry and they understood that we were posting that as an extracurricular activity, they indicated that that requirement would not be entailed. We had provided communications to all of our drivers related to our intent to post the positions. We also provided kind of a copy of the legal guidance that the revised legal guidance that we received, so that any drivers that wanted to take a look at why that we had a change in course on that front. As we said earlier, we did get 2 applicants from the Brewston area, and in speaking with Mr. Plum, one of the drivers likely would have availability in the morning, one would have availability potentially in the afternoon, so it appears we can probably split that amicably in instances where that would need to be used. Obviously, it's contingent upon their availability on the day in question, whether they would be able to do it. There may be instances where we would still have to cancel runs, but this is just yet another kind of tool in the tool bag of how we can combat school cancellations. We'll continue to post for positions in our other areas, and as per the discussion at our last board meeting, we plan to, in any instance in which we incorporate this, we would certainly track the number of students in which we're picking up for metrics to determine whether this is something we would want to continue to do in future years. In speaking with Mr. Plum today, he indicated that he and one of the other mechanics are trying to cover for one of these drivers so that she is able to ride with drivers on these other routes and become more familiar with some of the other routes. The other individual who bid is a very senior driver and is very comfortable with most of the routes in and around the Brewston area, but we felt that would be appropriate as well to give that person a little greater familiarity with the potential routes that she might have to undertake. So we're happy that we can fill that in the Brewston area. We certainly are hopeful that we might get potential interest in other areas once maybe some of the drivers see how this is working, and we hope it's effective. But for right now, we feel like at least we're able to address it in the area in which it was an expressed concern.
Thank you, I think that's great. Comments, discussions? Thank you, everyone. Okay, next, we have the superintendent's report.
Okay, board members, I have a number of items in the superintendent's update. First of all, I had the staff update from October 20th. Again, a weekly schedule. I'll try to review events maybe from the most current weekly schedule, but we had a story on Miss West Virginia, who I believe is also our Buckwheat Festival coronation official. She actually visited Kingwood Elementary and Central Preston, and I think it was, I don't remember what it did. I think it was participating in a recent fundraiser, but Ms. Bear actually came and read for several classrooms, and I think she even did a hula hoop competition with some of the students at both Kingwood and Central Preston. And you can see the photo opportunity with the school mascots along with Principal Martin and Principal Peasley. So it's kind of a fun day at Kingwood Elementary. The West Virginia Prevention Solutions this evening had a scheduled youth input session. It's a building, I think, right beside the Wesley United Methodist Church. I'm concerned that whether they really probably had a large turnout, and I had discussions with the individual who was coordinating this. They did indicate that if they didn't get a large turnout tonight, they may look at scheduling something with the school. We would, of course, have to get parental permission for any participating students if we were to coordinate something at the school level. That may be a possibility in future weeks. Story in South Preston, again, I think integrating the students from Fellows,ville, you can see they had a gigantic turnout of their trunk and treat event. In Fellows,ville, I know always had a strong turnout for that event as well, but South Preston coordinated a really great event in conjunction with their school PTO. I know their school PTO was very, very pleased with the event in general. I did want to commend a former colleague, Bob Seipolt. He actually spoke to a number of students in biology classes in the HISTA Club, discussed the aspects of the chestnut tree and the chestnut orchard on the campus of Preston High School. Of course, Mr. Seipolt works very closely in trying to coordinate a lot of the events associated with the Chestnut Festival in Rollsburg, so we certainly appreciate Bob's efforts on that front. We have had advertisements seeking staff postings for tutoring positions for Preston County Schools Knights Academy, which will work with high school students and bringing middle school students into the high school campus to provide tutoring services. Certainly trying to build the staff there. We've received an invitation for staff to potentially attend the mental health workforce workshop. It's a one-day conference in Charleston, West Virginia. There have been offerings of potential hotel accommodation, free hotel accommodations for some participating participants. Certainly encourage staff to potentially pursue that with some of that funding that might be available to allow their participation without charge to the district. Anything else here from that section? Papers are all sticking together. Also, wanted to make the school aware of an opportunity for free cybersecurity coursework through Radford University that might be available for interested high school students with free tuition. I certainly want to make sure students are aware of that opportunity as well. In looking at the newsletter from today, again, a lot of events. Of course, we have the board meeting here. We have our principals meeting. Actually, we may have to leave this room set up relatively similar, or do we need to tear down this White? But we've got our principals meeting scheduled in this same room on Wednesday, so Ms. White's going to be hosting lots of meetings this week. On Thursday, we have most of our school administrators, along with representatives from the student support services, will be traveling to Kaiser High School to receive funding. I believe it's an offer of $1,500 for student support services at each of our schools, so we're very appreciative of that funding opportunity for our schools. I will be going to Charleston next week for a presentation of a needs project at before the School Building Authority. Ms. White, I think our computer might be dying up there. I don't know if it's plugged in. Our project is actually for a project at South Preston to look at greater efficiencies of the HVAC system at South Preston School. Of course, our next scheduled board meeting will be on the November 10th. That'll be a daytime meeting back at the boardroom. And I did want to commend the Preston High School cross-country team. We had some cross-country athletes in there earlier. Our high school program, we had the girls team qualified for the states, along with 3 male athletes also qualified for the state meet. And Coach Martin and a number of volunteers actually hosted the West Virginia Super Regional. I believe there were 6 regional races that were competed at Preston High School on Saturday. Very large event. I think the school did a great job of coordinating that. I mean, saw a lot of great feedback from other participating schools about what a good job that Preston did in terms of hosting the event, so certainly proud of that. I wanted to also call attention, West Preston had a great fall festival event last week in conjunction with their parent-teacher conference. Again, you can see great turnout of students and parents for that event. The After School Explorers program ran their Lights On program, which was hosted in multiple district schools. And Preston High School, of course, took part in their homecoming events this past Friday, and you can see a great turnout of students who participated in that. We also participated, our guidance and student support staff coordinating Red Ribbon Week activities this week. So a lot going on in Preston County Schools. Now to my specific presentation again, I'll be heading to Charleston on November 4th for the SBA presentation that was previously mentioned. Work continues on the secure entry and exterior door project at Kingwood Elementary. I did want to disperse around board members. I have some photos, if you haven't been over to see, making great progress. The interior lobby area, they're hopeful to have that completed by mid to late November. The front entryway, you can see they've gotten a lot of that in place. They're actually starting to replace the exterior doors. They're working their way kind of around the building. I know they were over in the teacher workroom immediately to the left of the front door, and they're just going to be kind of working their way around the facility. I would say that at any point when they are working on a classroom door, the plan, we've discussed that students would be temporarily moved. Mrs. Peasley does have one classroom that's kind of been set aside in their, I believe it's in their steam room, where they will, host, for a day, or it wouldn't displace students for any more than a day or two tops, generally speaking, in terms of getting door replaced within the classroom setting. We want to make sure, due to the noise, dust, things of that nature, to make sure that, that we don't have students present when they're actively doing those work in those rooms. But I'll pass these around, Mr. Hobart, I'll pass it down your way, and if anybody'd like to take a look, they made a lot of great progress. They're very pleased with how things are going with that project. I would say we had exterior and interior duct cleaning at the PHS gym. They got the exterior for the most part done. There was one hard to reach section that they're trying to look at, maybe some extender poles to reach, because it looks much dirtier when you have everything else clean and there's one section that they had a hard time reaching. They're going to make every available effort to try to hit that up. They're also going to be working the interior ducts within the gymnasium at PHS as well. We had some needed remediation of a water damaged room in the art room. That actually has been retested and has been ready for reoccupancy by students. I do want to commend our maintenance staff. They did a tremendous amount of work in that room. They removed cabinetry, they replaced all of the ceiling tile, they waxed the floors, they painted the classroom. I mean, it is if you've been in the art pottery room at PHS, it is a gigantic transformation. If you would look, I wish we would have taken some before and after photos, because a huge difference in the appearance of the classroom. So I'm excited for students to get back in there. In addition, we do have a vendor coming in late November to make repairs to the PHS auxiliary gym. Following that repair work, they will be sanding, sealing, and relining the floor. To my knowledge, that floor has never been sanded. There's not been any type of that work since the school's inception. So trying to get some work done on some areas that have been neglected for a long time at PHS. All required data submissions have been completed and have been submitted within the prescribed timelines to the Department of Education. Final report on district attendance will be made by Mrs. Ofchak during her November presentation. It does appear that our attendance will be down again this year, with the exception of the Aurora School. The Aurora School actually increased attendance this year. They are our sole county school that gained attendance this year. Board members, I also attached from our last meeting, the Department of Ed. I've sent kind of the follow-up to the inquiry I made to our Transportation Department's improvement status. It has been indicated we need to submit our corrective action plan by November 7th. I reached out to Director Lacey today just to ask for any feedback that he may be able to provide in relation to maybe other districts that have had similar concerns and things that they've incorporated within their plans. Mr. Plum and I plan to work on that in conjunction with Chief Mechanic Hauser to get that submission completed within a timely manner as well. I would say I've also provided some additional information related to the targeted support status for Kingwood Elementary related to student performance as it relates to students with disability. What this amounts to, board members, and if you look in the attachments that you have there, Kingwood Elementary is in that status due to the fact that they did not meet academic indicator statuses in both reading, language arts, and math. They also did not reach standards in one or more student success indicators. They did not reach it specifically in attendance last year for that particular student subgroup. To me, in speaking with Principal Peasley, the way I've kind of talked with her about how to best kind of develop a plan of attack to try to bring improvement on that front is, I think you look at it attendance first. if you don't correct the attendance problem, the achievement matter is not going to get corrected. And if you can get students coming to school more consistently, that certainly gives you a much better opportunity to drive academic improvement. If we can hit our attendance marks, we can get off that status simply by making necessary improvements as it relates to attendance, although we are obviously going to continue to work to drive improved academic achievement for our special needs students at Kingwood Elementary as well. I would say, based upon Kingwood, we've talked about tonight, Mrs. Varner, that Kingwood is receiving a lot of very difficult special needs cases, really high need cases, and I think that sometimes contributes to difficulty and sometimes hitting those standards, because we are pulling some of those students from other parts of the county that, I commend Kingwood for their work, but we're going to also work with the school to try to get off any improvement statuses, and we want to make sure we're putting our best foot forward to move towards getting off of those statuses in future years. I also attached the PHS Excalibur newsletter. I think the kids and Mrs. Bogomil do a great job with that publication. In addition, an invitation to an upcoming Literacy Night event at Preston High School, November 13th. Board members, if any of you are able to attend, I know that Mrs. Rush is actively looking for readers. I don't want to be reading Goodnight Moon all to myself, so hopefully we can get some of our board members to participate as well with that. Mrs. Varner, do you have anything you'd like to update from the standpoint of personnel at this time?
Not personnel, but one thing, on that November 4th, Mr. Martin, where Preston High School, along with the West Virginia Department of Education and the Office of Child Nutrition, the inaugural West Virginia Farm to School Conference. The high school has been chosen as one of the sites to come tour. So there will be a group of food nutrition directors, State Department, principals, teachers, farmers. Preston High School is the Animal Processing Center, and Eastwood Elementary was chosen as the two sites to tour out of the states. So if you guys would like to come up and be part of that, the groups will be coming to the high school at 10 a.m. on November 4th and touring up at the animal processing, and then after they're done, we're going to be serving biscuits and gravy to everybody at the boardroom, and then they're going to go on a hayride, and then they're going to finish up at the CTE store. So that way they can see the entire farm, see the entire process of how everything works. The kids are going to do the tour with them, and then
Thank you for bringing that up, Mrs. Warren. I appreciate that.
So that'll also be on the 4th.
Board members, our next regularly scheduled meeting will be on Monday, November 10th at 10 a.m. at the Board of Education. Meeting will include presentation from Mrs. Ofchak and Mrs. Kerstetter. Mrs. Miller had asked for consideration if I can move her to the December meeting. She has a schedule conflict on that day. In addition, we hope to be able to seat our new student board members at this meeting. I did get information out over the weekend in relation to the student board applications, which should come in by next Monday. Mr. Seymour has indicated he will have a committee that can make decisions on that in advance of publication of the next board meeting. So we're hopeful that we'll have 2 new board members seated by the November 10th meeting, which will be a daytime meeting. I think it'll be a nice way to kind of break those students in as well. We'll likely do a lot of recognitions of PHS students for several academic and athletic achievements that have taken place over the summer and fall as well at that meeting. So I believe that's all. Oh, I did want to also mention, I do have a draft version of a bid for snow plowing services. I know Mr. Murray and I need to make some modification adjustments to that this week, but we do hope to get something advertised this week on that. I know that was an inquiry from our previous meeting, and I think at this time, Mr. Tatum, that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Martin?
I have one recognition. When I was touring the Kingwood Elementary front door project, I noticed a lot of toboggans that were on kids' desks. So Mrs. Beverly Houderschelt has made, from what I understand, toboggans for every student in the elementary. And I have some pictures that I'll get Mr. Martin to see them, but I was amazed.
Mr. Ziegler, if we can get her contact information, if she would be available, I'd love for her to attend on the 10th as well, so she could be formally recognized by the board.
But every student. I said, how much time would that take for every
I noticed when I was
student?
walking around Kingwood Elementary, I was doing a walkthrough at Kingwood Elementary this morning, I noticed like toboggans everywhere.
Yeah.
So she's definitely been quite busy.
Yes, so we appreciate Ms. Hollershelt, and, yeah, we'll definitely make contact with her.
Yes, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. That was literally took the right out of my thoughts. I did want to also mention, board members, we unfortunately had the passing of, and I hate to ever miss anybody on this, but we had two tremendous educators pass away within the last week. We had Sue Snyder, I know Mr. Tatham and I had probably a sixth grade math teacher. In addition, Tammy Johnston, who was a long time, I can't ever think of the program. The culinary program at PHS, and Tammy worked in other capacities in the county through the years, but both of them were just tremendous people, tremendous educators, and they will be sorely missed by their students and parents and community that had the opportunity to work with each of them. So you're certainly very, very sorry to hear about their passing.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Our next item on the agenda is out-of-state field trips, but I don't think we have any. My computer's not catching up. Okay, so we have no out-of-state field trips. Next, we have the chaperone and volunteer list. This is a discussion, information, and action item. It's recommended that the board approve the chaperone. Nothing's jumping. Volunteer list for Aurora School. May I get that motion?
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion or questions regarding that? That information is provided. Not hearing any questions or comments? Okay, the motion has been moved and seconded. I call the vote for the chaperone and volunteer list.
Voting is open. Ms. White, we'll send an update to all of your approved volunteers and chaperones. I think Ms. Sheets has a ongoing Excel document where she's updating as they get approved.
Yeah.
Board members, I do want to update you. We are now running our background checks through the Preston County Sheriff's Department. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have professional meetings, but there's none submitted. For ongoing literacy discussion, that'll be updated, I'm assuming, in the November meeting if there's anything. Okay.
Mrs. Rush will be present for that meeting, and she may report directly out at that point.
Okay. Next, we have iReady plans. This is a discussion and action item. It is recommended that the board approve the submitted school iReady plans for Aurora, South Preston, Terada East Preston, and Brewston for the 2025-26 school year. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Mrs. Noss, second by Mr. Zigray. Okay, is there any discussion? Not hearing any? Thank you for the work that was done on those.
And Mr. Tatum, at this point, I believe Kingwood and Central were approved at our last meeting. We still need to get West Preston on the next agenda, which we'll work with the school to make sure that they're on there.
Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for iReady plan approval.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, our next item is the ongoing numeracy and Tier 2 math supports. This is an information discussion item. I asked Mr. Martin to put this on the agenda just to further our conversation from the Terada East Preston LSIC presentation.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Mr. Tatham, I know you'd asked for this to be placed on the agenda. You had 4 distinct questions. You asked for the status of the county numeracy team, goals, initiatives, plans, and activities. The county has established a numeracy team, including Mrs. Rush, Lisa DeWitt, Amber Spinagle, who are both in academic coach roles. Amanda Rhodes, who's the assistant principal at West Preston, Anna Edmonds, the teacher at West Preston, Jessica Reggi, Teacher at West Preston, Laurie Noland. Teacher at Terrata East Preston, Megan Noss. Teacher at West Preston, and Reagan Knotts. She at Kingwood Elementary, Miss Warner?
Yes.
Yes, I said I was in her classroom this morning. Stacy Herring, teacher at Brewston School. Tracy Reichenberg, teacher at Aurora School. Goals, initiatives, and plan activities have been highlighted in Mrs. Rush's presentation from October 13th. I included those slides, and it's actually slides 14 through 19, in which she updated you all at the most recent board meeting. In terms of current Tier 2 guidance for classroom teachers, I asked for basically just Mrs. Rush to provide any level of update. She indicated current guidance for teachers for Tier 2 is to use our Ready Teacher Toolbox intervention lessons. These are not the same as the Ready Math lessons used for Tier 1. The lessons are specifically based on student test results and they're missing prerequisites. The lessons are teacher-led, not digital. Tier 2 teachers should be meeting with students in small groups to reinforce current grade level skills being taught in class, as well as provide the intervention lessons suggested by IReady. In terms of what contact has been made with the state for Tier 2 guidance, Mrs. Rush, I know, reached out to her state numeracy specialist. The lady's name is Catherine Allen. She has calls with her monthly. Ms. Allen suggested that she reach out to representative of Montague County. I believe her name was Amanda Cosner. She advised that Mon County uses Do the Math, which we have that curriculum here in Preston County, along with Math 180. Our county has had access to Do the Math materials, and it's been decided to use that program as our, and I spelled tier wrong there, the I-E before I, tier 3 intervention program this year. Currently, all tutors are trained on this program as well. In relation to math achievement, I shared a few things, and I'll just kind of quickly, and I think I've shared this a lot of these pieces of information with you all previously. One document shows each of our counties' performance in terms of math proficiency and as they relate to the overall state math proficiency measure. You can see which of our schools are performing higher than the state average, lower than the state average, and where they stack up against one another. And I believe Mr. Hogan and I have shared that out at the meeting probably back in September. In addition, I also provided you, and board members, this is an item that I often use when we're developing teacher goals. Not that teachers have to, or principals have to use these as goals, but we look at math improvement, and basically the state sets a goal of 15-year long-term growth that was established as a baseline year in the 2020-2021 academic year. Of course, this was the first year of assessment following COVID-19. For the most part, schools performed at a much lower proficiency in that baseline year, with the idea that over that 15 years, you would see steady growth. I know Ms. White and I have had discussions before. Her English proficiency happened to be abnormally high that first year, and it makes her growth metrics in English language arts here at Aurora a much more challenging goal than maybe some of the other schools within the county, but they've made substantial growth here at Aurora as it relates to math achievement. But you can kind of see how all of that metric is devised, and again, this is a formula that's been provided by the Department of Ed, but each school kind of has an expected annual improvement metric that if you add that to that baseline year, each year they're to pick up that much, and that kind of establishes their long-term growth. So the first, Roseburg unfortunately was closed, but if we jump down, let's say to Aurora, Aurora in the baseline year had a 35.56 math proficiency level. And using the formula to determine their expected annual growth, they have to grow on a 2.148% annual growth rate in order to maintain and hit their long-term metrics. If you kind of see, last year Aurora performed at a 46.51. In this coming year, they're expected, if they were to stay on that same growth pattern, in 25-26 they would have to be at 46.3. So for Aurora to stay on their growth metric, they simply have to avoid regression of 0.021. But obviously I think Mrs. White wants to see improvement in her students. So if you make improvement, then you can kind of get out ahead of the curve as well, so that maybe if you have a year that you slip back, you've got some level of room for error there. But I provided you all with the metrics for each school as it relates to math achievement over that 15-year span for the board's review as well. Okay. And the last thing I think was included was Preston County's performance in math, English, and science comparative to other districts. And I think that was something that was also shared at the September meeting.
So thank you, Mr. Martin, and all the parties that helped this. Again, the reason I requested this to be on the agenda, and I'd like to kind of treat it as an ongoing item, even if some meetings we don't have anything to update on, like we do the literacy. That way, we're all on the same page of what's being done in the progress, and then also for any teachers or staff members that are interested in it, then this is a way that they can see documentation, information, and then field us with more questions if they have, or suggestions. Is there any comments from any other board members? Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have under our finance section, we have contract review as per policy 8200. This is the information, discussion, and action item. It's recommended that the board approve the proposal for Amerigus Educational Services Purchasing Agreement for the 2025-26 academic year. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Noss.
Second.
Second by Mr. Zigray. Okay, is there any additional information or discussion?
Mrs. Byrne, I don't know if you can speak to this at all. This was brought to us by Mrs. Miller. I know she's had consult with, I believe it's maybe Marion County, that's had a great deal of success in working with this entity in terms of obtaining needed special education practitioners. In this instance, I think we are actively seeking a BCBA, which stands for Behavioral, I don't know what that stands for.
Board certified.
Board certified behavioral.
analysis.
Oh, I have that, okay, I'm sorry. I know I looked that up at some point. Board certified behavioral analyst. We do anticipate if we were to seek a contract through this, that it potentially could be in excess of $100,000. So Mr. Tatum, I wanted to make sure to get this on for the board's review.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments?
And this will also be our RBT, our Registered Behavior Tech will come through this company too.
Okay. What was that acronym? I'm sorry.
Registered Behavior Technician.
Okay.
Not hearing any discussion? The motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for approval of the contract.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the levy check report. This is an information item. The contents available. Is there any comments? Not hearing any. Thank you. Next, we have the schedule of checks and payment of bills. This is an action item. It's recommended that the board approve the submitted schedule of checks and payment of bills. May I get that motion?
Make that motion.
Okay, moved by Mr. Zigray. Second by Mr. Hovatter. Is there any additional information or any questions or comments? Not hearing any. Mr. Zigray?
No.
Nope. Mr. Hovatter? Okay. Thank you. The motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for approval of the schedule of checks and payment of bills.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have school support organization update. This is an information, discussion, and action item. It's recommended that the board approve the Aurora School PTO and South Preston PTO as school support organizations for the 2025-26 academic year. May I get that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hovatter. Second by Mr. Zigray. Is there any additional information or any questions or comments?
Yeah, Mr. Tatum, we have a number of the packets submitted. Mrs. Kerstetter is working. I know she was having issues in terms of verifying numbers on a few of the submissions. I mean, there's just some logistical things that we need to work through, but I anticipate having several organization packets. I didn't get a chance to talk to her in time to get that on this agenda, but I do anticipate a large number of these to be submitted on our next agenda.
And thank you for the progress on these. Any discussion? Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote for the approval of the school support organizations for Aurora and South Preston.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the maintenance work order system update. This is an information item. Mr. Martin.
Yeah, Mrs. Noss, I was gonna say after the meeting, if you've got some time, I would like to kind of show you that, kind of the back door and where you can look at some of the metrics in terms of the updates within the system. Still, Mr. Sines is still trying to elicit a report, but in the meantime, I can log in with my credentials and kind of show you from the backside what you can see in terms of the progress notes that I'm not able to easily pull into a kind of a clean report at this time. Like I said, I would commend, I know maintenance, again, that was a significant project that they took on at Preston High School. We do have 3 additional classrooms at the high school that we need to address similarly. We're working with Mr. Seymour in terms of rotating classes so that we can do similar remediation work in those rooms as well. But certainly appreciate the maintenance crews' efforts on that front. And I know we had crews in there. We had toilet backups at the high school at the basically right towards the end of the football games, and of course we had the huge regional meet coming in. I know we had staff there very, very early on Saturday morning, which they were still trying to work through some issues there, but just having to deal with the things that come up along the way in addition to a lot of the existing orders, certainly challenging work for sure.
Thank you for that update. Any questions?
Heating system at the vocational center?
Other than I know that they potentially were looking at installing some of those larger units in the shop areas. We may be able to pull, now the problem is, like I said, with the Fellows,ville building, when, I was hopeful that we maybe could pull some of those units down that we were using there. Depending upon how we want to do out there, we may still be able to incorporate at least one of those units if there's rooms that are having issues. We are concerned. I know they are trying to limp along the system at the Roseburg Opportunity Center. I know with our revisions to our CEFP, I think that's one thing that we may look at is in terms of heightening that particular project. I mean, that project would require some level of financial investment, but I think that might be a project that would be ripe for a submission for a major improvement project through the SBA. And I think, in making a proposal to the state there to say, and I know that the state through some of the new legislation that they're wanting districts to establish alternative schools. To me, if we need to make repairs there, we need to try to be as economically efficient in making repairs at Roseburg, and the fact that, that was a building for consideration. It was closed as a regular building. We don't want to incur a large amount of cost there. So any repair work that we would certainly try to accomplish there, we want to do so as economically efficiently as we can. And certainly if we can obtain funding at the state level, that would be preferable.
Okay. Thank you for the maintenance work order update. Okay, next status update on the Fellows,ville School property.
I don't have any significant update. I have not heard back from Mrs. Cook. I know we are still working through the process in terms of the deed work. I know that Mr. Murray did meet with Ron Wiles, who is the prospective auctioneer for the facility. And if we were able to obtain clearance to liquidate the property, we want to be able to do that, work in conjunction with the auctioneering service. Mr. Wiles did indicate that he might be, if we're ultimately cleared, that he would recommend both an on-site and online, where you would have an on-site auction, but you would have online options in which people could also bid, if they were not on-site, and he would be able to provide that service. So, obviously, once the deed work, once we have things figured out there, we're also working in conjunction with Thrashing Engineering to ultimately get the property surveyed, but we're having to hold off on that until we get a status check on the deed work. So I'm hopeful by the next meeting we can come back with a little more formal, more information on our efforts there.
Okay, thank you. Our last item is the item of adjourning. Before we take a motion on that, is there anything that needs to be added to the agenda for November 10th?
Yeah, discussion of service personnel contracts.
Okay, Mr. Zigre requests discussion of service personnel contracts. Other items? Okay. Anything else, Mr. Zigre?
No.
Okay, not hearing anything? Okay. It's recommended that the board adjourn today's meeting. I'll take that motion.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hovatter, second by Mr. Zigray. Is there any discussion on the motion to adjourn? Not hearing any, the motion has been made and seconded. I call the vote.
Voting is open. Motion passes 4-0 at 8:06.
Thank you, everyone.